We're back, people. Welcome back to 12th Man, another show on the channel. And I've got some regular faces that, to be fair, I've missed. It means that football is slowly coming back. The Euros obviously is on at the moment, but the transfer window is now open. Not that much is happening, but there's a lot of rumours that we're going to discuss. Fabrizio Romano and David Ornstein are getting back. Everybody's back on Twitter looking at what they're saying and who they're linking teams with. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk a little bit about Victor Gyokeres. We're going to talk about Calafiori. We're going to talk about Nico Williams. We're going to talk about some of the other links to Arsenal players and some of the rumours, so to speak. So big up to all of the panel. African Guna, absolute pleasure to see you again, man. How are you, bro?
Yeah, doing well. I think for all of us, it's always tough, especially the international fans. As I said on previous podcasts, no real affiliation to any specific nation. So just watching the Arsenal boys whenever they're playing, but it's completely different, in my opinion, to when you watch Arsenal play. Really missing Arteta's ball. And I think for me, pretty much is all focused on preseason now. I'd like to see some of the younger boys like Micah Beereth and Charlie Patino probably get a chance and really start to rise their stocks and hopefully get to see some new formations and some new combinations between different players that we haven't seen yet. And obviously with the summer window opening, hopefully we get a few signings in through the door before we go to the US.
Now, big up, man. Listen, we're definitely going to see some of the youngsters, that's for sure, because everybody else is going to be too recovering from the Euros and the Copa America. So I expect to see the likes of Patino and Luis Skelly and Maneri and players like that in the first few games. So let's see where we're at. Elliot, my bro, yourself and African Guna met up, which I love. You showed me the picture. You went out for something to drink and eat. That's class, man. So big up to both of you. How are you, mate?
I'm well. I'm well. Just coming back from a birthday weekend, guys, and
happy birthday, man!
Yeah. It was a mildly inebriated weekend, to say the least. I remembered some, but didn't remember much. And but again, it was still a fantastic time nonetheless. And it's long weekend over here as well in Canada as African knows as well. So it was a really great weekend in terms of the weather, in terms of outing, in terms of doing things. So yeah, it was really great. But great to talk about the Arsenal. Finally, we're gonna get some action. Finally, we're gonna get some activity in terms of transfers. Finally, we'll allow the mysteries that are out there will be solved. So looking forward to reading this chapter in terms of our transfer window. So, but again, great to be back.
Fair play, man. Come on, always welcome. You know that. Saad, it's been time, bruv. You good?
Yes, mate. Big up, everybody. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. We are back. Unfortunately, on one side of the draw, I have to watch man like Gareth Southgate doing a madness on one team. And then on the other side, I'm eating very good because one certain centre-back, since coming into a certain partnership, has only conceded a penalty, and he didn't even concede that. It was the other centre back. So listen, we're eating good right now. You know what I mean? I'm gassed. I'm ready. I'm ready to talk Arsenal transfers anyway. Enough about the Euros for a bit. Let's just focus on Arsenal right now, man. But big up for having me. Big up the panel as well, man.
Nah, come on, man. Always welcome. You know that. Albert JTV, my bro. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, man. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's nice. Big up to you for the link up for the guys in Nottingham from 12th, man. It was a blast, man. I'm sure people have seen the pictures flying around on the socials. So, I came up a bit early for obvious reasons because of work, but I left you guys to it in Nottingham.
Man, it was class, man. Absolutely loved it. And great for you to be with us, man, as well. You come on, you're always welcome, Albert. Always welcome on the show as well. You know that. Big up for coming on. Let's talk Arsenal transfers. I think the only one that I really can see people getting mostly excited for is Victor Gyokeres. Now, Albert, I'll start with you because I know you're a big fan of this guy, man.
Mm-hmm.
They're basically saying that if he goes, he's going to be the 85 million release clause. Do you think that's true? Do you think we'll have to release the clause? Or do you think that we could come to some form of agreement? Is it going to be a good signing potentially for Arsenal? And what's your kind of rating on how you think this one might happen? Do you think it's out of 10? Do you think it's likely, sort of a 7 or 8, or do you think it's more closer to a 4 or 5, bro? What are you saying, bro?
Cool. Well, the easiest part to answer is I love the guy. I'd love the guy to come to Arsenal. I think he would be a good signing. I mean, I could be proved wrong if he's in an Arsenal shirt per se, but I guess time will tell. It depends what publication you believe, because obviously, when it was linked a few weeks ago, I mean, no one's ever said they've heard of this Portuguese publication ever. The
Hmm.
fact that they've almost done so. I took that with a pinch of salt, but the release clause is kind of what was mentioned before, quite a few months ago now. So, what's he, 25, 26 Gyökeres, I think is off the top of my head. Obviously, when you have the season he's just had as well, and not just with goals but assists as well, and the type of style of play and striker that he is, of course he's going to be a wanted man. I just hope the rumors are true in terms of not just that there's interest there, because there's obviously going to be interest there, but in terms of are Arsenal actually willing to try and push this deal through? What are Sporting Lisbon saying? Are they playing hardball? Are they easy to negotiate with? I have no idea, but the release clause is about right. And like I said, I come back to always said about the striker market. It's not the biggest market. You saw the links with Šeško, a young up and coming. And with that, quickly before I come back to Gyökeres, I mean, I hadn't seen a lot of him play, to be honest with you, and I do take into consideration he's playing for his national side. So I don't know. You might say maybe his club form and who he plays for, he's got better players around him than he does for his national team. Because I thought before I saw what I saw in terms of over the games I saw him in the Euros, but for me, he just needs a couple more years of seasoning, jerk seasoning, a bit of barbecue seasoning. Šeško will come good, you know what I mean? He may come to the Premier League, but Gyökeres, what we early July now, Dan. I guess I have to watch his space, man, to be honest with you. But I would love him at Arsenal. I think he'd fit in perfectly. I think buying somebody like him or an Isak, for example, you could still work with playing Kai centrally, because obviously Gyökeres can play across the front three. I'd have him personally down the middle, but listen, if you've seen enough of him play, then he can play that wide left role. And obviously that's more competition, but I think the money they're talking about, Dan, I think that's on the ballpark, to be honest with you. Whether Arsenal are prepared, not just prepared to go for him, but to be aggressive with it, irrespective of whoever else is interested in him, time will tell. But I personally hope there is some truth in it and Arsenal can get this done.
I hope there's truth in it. I really hope there's truth in it. And I really like him. And Saad, I know you and I have spoken before about Victor Gyökeres, and we quite like what we've seen. Now, you and I don't watch the Portuguese league, man. We don't watch it. But from what I've seen, and I see from the commentary and also Portugal, I'm quite excited by some of the attributes that he's got. And I think that there's definitely the hold-up play, the link-up play, the size, the stature, the physical attributes. But he's a killer, man. He's an absolute killer.
Yeah.
So I'd be excited by this one. Before I bring you in, big up to Just Joe, by the way. Absolute legend, Joe, for the redirect. Absolute hero. Big up to all of you for tuning in and up the leads, as I say, man. Just Joe, you're a legend. Love you, bro.
Big up. By the way, Joe, big up Kai Havertz as well, yeah? He always likes, big up Joe, but he always likes to mention Kai Havertz out of nowhere, bro. Because anytime he come into Hassan's onto Lahore, he'd always just come up when we'd be talking about Havertz. We're like, why am I always here when we talk about Havertz, you lot? But he's a joker, Joe, man. He's a joker.
Talk to me, man. Gyökeres, talk to me.
Listen, man, I already told you guys, man. Listen, I watched clips. Yeah, I've watched the old comps. You know what I mean? They say don't judge a player by comps, but I can't lie, they're just a piece of what I did, because I really had to start investigating and seeing like how good this guy was. Yeah, so I started using scouting reports. These are scouts. These are people that give reports as to what they do, everything that they do. This guy can score with his left foot, he can score with his right foot, he can score with his head. He's quick. He's good on the ball. His link-up plays there. Like, bro, this guy is just an all-round striker, bro. I think in the scouting reports that I read, the only thing that's bad about him in regards to fitting in Mikel's system is he doesn't track back and he doesn't defend. Like he's not a striker to just go back and help with the defensive work. He doesn't like doing it. But majority of what I've seen, he's so good getting in behind. He's so good running on the wings. He can change positions between different players. Do you know what I mean? Which Mikel Arteta loves anyway. he loves his players to be interchangeable and just try and go into different positions and have the chemistry to be able to just I'll go in your position, you come into the middle, or I'll go in on the middle and you go to the left. Like, you know what I mean? He loves all that stuff. So for me, I just listen. I think he's a very good striker. Like I said, I'm even one of these crazy ones that will take the risk over him and getting him over Isak. But listen, that's just me being crazy. I know majority of people won't agree, and it is a crazy take to say that you'll take him over Isak because Isak's got the Premier League experience. But I don't know what it is about Gyökeres, however you say his name. Yeah, he's a baller. There's just something about this guy. I have a feeling that he's literally on the cusp of becoming like one of those great strikers. Like, he just needs to go to a team that has so many chances and plays at the top level. Sometimes a player needs that pressure to ignite. Do you know what I mean? And listen, pressure makes diamonds. So he could be a diamond just waiting to be shown. And I think he is, man. I think he's a very good striker, man. And he's ready for the Premier League as well, man.
I hope that we get him. I really do. Out of all of the names so far, it's kind of, I can't get Ivan Toney out of my head. And Elliot, I'll come to you on this one because Ivan Toney for me impresses me a lot, and he has impressed me. Victor Gyokeres has done it in 2 different leagues. It is a risk if we buy him, trust me, because he's got to come to a different league and adapt. But I do like a lot of his attributes, man. What are you telling me, Elliot?
As I've already said to you guys beforehand on a previous show, he is one of my top 3 striker prospects for Arsenal right now. I believe he's number 2, right behind Mr. Isak himself. And yeah, I'm totally with this deal. I think I think Saad said it right. He's looking for his big break. We are his big break. I think he'll score bags of goals with the supply that we're able to get him. I think his injury record is spotless. Although he had a little niggle in his knee, and which was easily rectifiable. But getting back to in terms of the release clause, we'll get close to that. I think I think we can knock it back about 5 million, maybe add incentives to that, and then get what we want. But I see a hungry striker here. I see a guy who's gonna come in and do some great work for us. It's too bad Isak is not available at this point in time. But we need a different. The thing about Gyökeres, which is so great, is the fact that he's different from what we would have in Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz is more of a Ramdeuter. He's more of a a space finder, and he helps with build up. Where listen, Gyökeres is indeed a box striker. Put simply, he's the one who uses pace to finish off chances, finish off advantages, and I'm totally with that. I think we need to have just a different change of pace in terms of our strikers, so that we can show teams 2 different sides to our cutting edge. And I am totally with Mr. Gyökeres coming into the squad, coming into the side. Add with a few other pieces, I think he'll be fantastic here. I think he'll thrive here, and it's hope that he'll take our interest in him very seriously, and would like to force a move.
Yeah, facts. Listen, African Gunner, I've spoken to you a while now about potential options for us. Do you think Gyökeres is the one that would excite you most, or is there another name that you would prefer, other, of course, than Alexander Isak, who I don't think is available?
Yeah, I think, Dan, I think the first thing we need to do is really ask ourselves, do we need a striker? Because most people are saying that Kai Havertz can do the job. Personally, for me, I don't think so. I think that he's a good option for us. He could be a bench player. We saw against Germany, he had a chance one-on-one. Look, maybe he would have passed to Musiala. But look, honestly, if we're being real with ourselves, we want our striker to be taking that chance full on. Like, I want my striker to be taking that chance and not trying to pass it over. And he needs to be using his right foot. He needs to be way more confident. One-on-one with the keeper, we've seen it at Arsenal many times. He isn't that guy, So for me personally, I still think we need a top gunman. For me, as Elliot said, I think Isak is obviously the first choice for me, but 120 million, Newcastle already kind of figured out how to manage to get like 30, 40 million from like unknown player. I've never even heard of that guy. I don't know how they do it, but anyways, I don't see them selling Guimarães and Isaac this summer, probably just one or the other. In terms of Gyokeres, I think as Albert mentioned 3 weeks ago, there was a Portuguese reporter that came out saying basically that the deal was closed and Arsenal's agreed below the asking price of 85 or release clause of 85 million, and that it would be paid over a few years. I think something else that's important to note is that Gyökeres just had surgery and he's not going to be back until the end of July. So maybe even Arsenal is going to wait and kind of see how he responds to that, how he's back in training. I mean, we're not going to just take the risk and spend all that money if, he's not going to be the same player. That's something that we need to consider as well. And Ivan Toney with the header to Harry Kane to take them to the quarterfinals. Look, and he doesn't play many minutes, and he showed that he could do the damage. And I've said it before on here, if we're talking about low risk signings, he is that guy, right? 50 million. We know what he can bring to us. He's not going to demand a starting spot all the time. He'll be happy to rotate with Kai Havertz. So, he seems like a low risk signing for me. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think we're going to get linked to Ollie Watkins. We're going to all these links are going to start popping up, I think, as soon as the Euro ends. But again, Dan and the rest of the guys, it really comes down to whether or not Arsenal think we need a striker. From what we're hearing, it's that they don't, and they're happy to carry on with Kai Havertz. From my personal feeling, even before we signed Kai Havertz last season, the season before, I was already looking for a striker. So that doesn't change for me. I still think we need a proper 9, someone who's just going to be feeding off Odegaard, feeding off Saka, feeding off Martinelli, and finishing chances. Again, I love Kai Havertz. People think that when you mention these things about Kai Havertz, where he can improve his game, that I have an agenda against him. No, I love him. I think he's a great squad player, but that doesn't mean that we can't highlight some of areas of improvement for him, and that we can't seek out improvements in terms of in the market. And I think, as Albert said, and as Elliot also mentioned, the striker market right now is not looking, like it was 2-3 seasons ago. There isn't many options. Osimhen is another one that I think I would really love. I think, in terms of finishing chances, he doesn't give me that confidence. I think he's like a 7 or 8 out of 10. He's not a 9 out of 10 because he gets a lot of chances and he misses a lot. But I think he could really well in terms of the Premier League, in terms of competing with Haaland. And Napoli are going to have to reduce their price tag, because from what Fabrizio has said, he had an agreement in December with Napoli that they were going to sell him this summer. So they're eventually going to have to reduce their price. And I think Arsenal and Man United are the 2 clubs that are in for him. And I think we're going to probably wait. So in terms of striker, I think movements will only happen later on, maybe end of July, beginning of August. And until then, I think Arsenal are going to focus on a midfield signing.
Yeah, we're going to come to that, because I think midfield is definitely an area of priority. Also, it's mad to think that people say that we don't need a striker. Albert, I'll come to you on that. I don't know why people believe that. I think that Kai Havertz has done a great job. I think Jesus in the past for Arsenal, I say in the past, last season, really was good enough. But I do think that whenever you're looking at a team and you can have the opportunity to maximize the window and improve on what you've got to do it. And for those that don't believe that we have a need for a striker, ask yourself if you're happy with Eddie Nketiah then, because that's the guy we'll be upgrading on. Yeah, Eddie Nketiah being sold potentially to a Fulham or a Wolves or a Palace, who apparently are all in for him and interested. Even if it is for 20 to 25 million, I feel like we have to go and get that striker that upgrades on him, so that when we have a bench that doesn't have Eddie and Nelson on it, we now have 2 players that can come on and impact the game in a much better way. And let's be real, Mikel Arteta didn't trust those individuals anyway towards the end of the season. So, Albert, I'll come to you. Is a striker a priority for you still?
Yes, absolutely, man. I think people may be a little bit seduced by the Kai Havertz effect, man, and what he did in the 2024. Fair play, he turned it around, but yeah, don't get too seduced by that, because I made two examples. I think when I came on your channel last time, Potsy, in terms of why we do need a striker. Yes, people will argue the stats, and Arsenal scored a lot of goals in the Premier League last season, but there's 2 games for me in it, and unfortunately both the chances fell to Jesus. But it was the home game against Tottenham, the draw at the Emirates, when Jesus had the chance to make it 2-0. A top striker for me in that situation pushes 2-0 up. You had the chance away at the Etihad, and like I said, it's against Man City. It's fine margins. It's about having that top level striker who will make that difference, turning the games that you get a point into 3 points. That will make the difference, and that's what it comes down to. So that's where I come from a standpoint in terms of why Arsenal do need a striker. Yes, I know it's difficult to go and land one, but for me, that's what it comes down to. And as you mentioned, in terms of if, for example, if Havertz was out, or who's to come in, and you look at what we have, and it's like, it's not great. And again, I mentioned it last time, even with Nketiah. It was the home game against Wolves where even still now talking about it, you guys, I still don't know how he missed that chance. He's at the post. You have to finish that as a top level striker in the Premier League, or just top level striker in Europe. Full stop. You have to finish those chances, and it's those fine margins that are gonna get you over the line to win a league title or to win a domestic cup competition, and that's what we're talking about here for me personally, Dan, bro.
Yeah, listen, I'm with you, bro, and I don't really understand why people will look at that scenario and think, "Oh, Arsenal don't need a striker; they need Arsenal need a striker, and they still need." That's my opinion. People do say we don't need this position covered because we need other areas. We need them all covered, right? We can't just believe that a midfielder is going to come in and that's it. That's why we don't need a striker. Get a striker and a midfielder. I think there's clear for me anyway, Sard. I'll come to you on this. I said this to judges earlier. If you're putting the first 11 together, you can probably say there's 7 positions in the Arsenal first team that all have a fair shout at saying they're one of the best in the league in their position. And those positions, I think, are Ben White, Gabriel and Saliba, Declan Rice, Martin Odegaard, Saka, and potentially Martinelli if you do have him on this form, because last season he dipped a little bit.
Yeah.
You can say at least that he's one of the best in the league in terms of left wingers, right? You can't really say that we've got that. You can't really say we've got that up top. You can't really say we've got that in one of the midfield roles, and you can't really say we've got that at left back. There's Timber as a question mark, obviously, because of his injury. And you can't really say we've got that in goal. So I think those 4 positions are areas that we should be looking at. And that is, quite fair, I think, Sard, to say that. So for those that are saying, oh, we only need a midfielder, then we go, or we only need one more, we go. I think those 4 positions, I think we need an area of a player in each of those departments: goal, defense, midfield, and centre forward, and maybe even a wide player as well for Saka's kind of cover. So that's where I'm at, Sard. I don't know about yourself, bro. Oh, you're on mute, bro.
Professional streamer, and I'm on mute, guys. Apologies. You know what I mean? Apologies. It's not like I've been doing this for a year and a half. Listen, I think the fan base right now is in a bit of a transition mentality-wise, where I think we have to start transitioning from, okay, we're trying to build to now we need to start working at, of course, still trying to build, but we also need to work towards replacing, because I want to continuously bring in. I want to bring in a player that can knock Saka out of the first team. I want to bring in a player that can knock Declan Rice out of the first team, that can knock Saliba out of the first team, that can knock freaking Martin Odegaard out of the first team. I want to bring them in because that means they are top quality. If you're bringing in players that can knock out those players, that is top quality. So for me, it's simple. Of course, we need to fill in these positions that are really low standard right now in regards to, striker Eddie Nketiah. I mean, the less said about this guy, the better. I think he's stealing a living. And listen, that was gifted to him by Mikel Arteta. I think that's one of Mikel Arteta's biggest clangers, is giving this guy 100k a week, giving Reece Nelson 100k a week. With all due respect, I know the hair end and everything, but like there's a limit, man. There's a limit. Do you know what I mean? You could have given them like 70k. You could have given them 75, 80k even is a bit mad. But bro, these guys are not even bench players, bro. Now they're surplus to requirements, and we're sitting here paying this guy 100k a week. Like, that's crazy. 100k a week gets you a decent little striker that you can pay. Victor Gyökeres, I think, is on like 35, 40k a week. Yeah. Like, and just look at the difference. Just look at the difference. Like, it's crazy. So for me, I think we need to transition from this whole we're trying to build. We need to keep these players, and we need to only go for because I understand that those players, those positions are like in dire need of being filled with players, but we also need to realize that soon enough we're going to be in a position where we're going to be winning some serious stuff. And when you win serious stuff, everybody wants to come to you. Everybody wants to be that player that can come to the club, that's winning everything, that can do everything. You know what I mean? Look at Man City. Man City are always getting people that wanted to come to them. Anytime Man City comes into the race, you see people start to step back, like, oh, we might not win this one. They might take this player away from everyone. So listen, I think right now there's definitely some other positions that do need to be prioritized, but we also need to not sit here and fight for players like as if these players. And to be honest, let's face it, guys. Some of these players are also going to be possibly leaving. Like some of these players, Saliba, I love Saliba with all my heart, man. I love Saliba, but if he does not have Real Madrid written all over him in the future, then, bro, I'm telling you, he has got Real Madrid written all over him. He'll be here, of course. I think he'll stay here for another 5, 6 years. But I think once he gets to his later years and he starts to get to it when he's full fledged in his prime, I think Real Madrid will call and he'll go running. Because listen, Real Madrid is just a whole different spectrum. Like Arsenal, Man United, there's even Barcelona, and then you have Madrid. Madrid is just like the
I did a
pinnacle
show
of
on this with Lee earlier, Sard, right? And I said that if Arsenal don't start winning trophies, I think we can have that discussion about, oh dear, Saliba might have to look elsewhere, because I think we're cool at the moment. He's got a contract till 2027, which means in 25 we have to sit down with him again and talk about it. But I think by 2026, if we've won nothing, I think you're right. I think Real Madrid are going to come knocking it. It's going to be very hard for us to keep hold of him. And we're going to be in a scenario again, like Robin Van Persie and Cesc Fabregas, where we have to go, I kind of get why you want to leave, but please don't. And we've got to start winning trophies. And this is why there's massive pressure next season on Arsenal to win something big time. Because Saliba is going to start knocking on doors. You're going to get the likes of Saka and Martinelli and Ødegaard. People are going to want them. Now, whether you believe they're going to go or not is a different debate. But teams are going to come in for them. And like you've just said, when Real Madrid come knocking, it is a different knock. It is. You know, I'm not so worried about Man United buying our players anymore, or Chelsea buying our players anymore. That doesn't really bother me at the moment. But it does. Real Madrid does. And, you know, PSG, I know that they're a laughing stock at times, but they've got the money to build again. If they start being competitive, then players like Saliba might look and go, you know what? I know Real Madrid don't want me at the moment, but look, PSG's there. So I kind of get what you're saying. Where we're at right now is trying to rebuild so that we can get that squad as close or better than Manchester City so that we can compete. Because for me, I can't be dealing with having another season where we're trophyless, man. And I certainly can't do with another couple of seasons. So that's for me why we've got to try and add this quality to it. And I'll come to you with this, Elliot, because I've got to say, I don't think Manchester City's squad and Arsenal squad is far off, but I do think they've got 2 or 3 that make it look that little bit more. And that's where I'm at now. Because when they can afford to have the bench of a Kanji to bring on, or Jack Grealish to bring on, or Julian Alvarez to bring on, we don't have that because we're flinging on Eddie Nelson and Cedrics and El Nenis and all these guys we've had in the past. That's where we've got to improve, man. So when I talk about the 4 or 5 players that have got to come in, I'm not saying all those 4 or 5 players need to start at Arsenal, but they need to be able to compete to play if they're called upon. And that's where I'm at, bruv. So that's what I'm looking at. I think Victor Gyökeres would be one of those guys. And I just want to ask you, before we look at some of the other players linked with us, where you think we're still short and what sort of summer you think that we should be having in terms of positions that we need to be bringing in, bruv.
Well, that brings me to a great question. And I hate to answer a question with a question because that is quite rude for me to do. But again, I asked this question to you gentlemen, and I just want a quick answer. Quick answer, then I can get to my point. If you had a choice between Gyökeres or Nico Williams, who are you choosing?
Gyökeres,
bro.
Gyökeres.
Not even a question.
I like Nico Williams a lot, but I would take the striker because I do feel like Martinelli, Trossard, and Saka we have got,
and Vieira we have. If we don't sell Nelson, we could get away with it.
And also, just to put that as well, Gyökeres comes with a very cheap, like legit. I'm telling you guys, 35K a week is what he's getting paid. We give him 85, 90. Like, bro, he's calm, he's cushy. He's gonna be sitting there like, oh my god, I'm on 90K a week. Look at all this money. Like, bro, it's crazy, but to think of that.
But that's assuming that no other big club is going to come for him and offer him big money as well. And so we'll have to up ours to 100, 120K. But yeah, I get your point. I mean, it'll be easy to convince him in terms of wages. But that's any player that comes to the Premier League. That's why they want to come to the Premier League. It's all there.
I don't see any team of our stature coming in for Gyökeres if we are the prime club coming in for him. I don't see any team's CV beating ours at the moment. I think we are the new darlings. We are the new darlings of European football. A lot of players want to come to us, including the likes of Joshua Kimmich. This is a place to be if you want to be put in among the bright lights of Europe, and also to be in the greatest league in the world in terms of football, which is the Premier League. So I mean, what Arsenal are going through right now, we are raising the floor. We are building a higher foundation for this club, and it is to get to a stage where, like Man City, you have 18 players you can trust. You can literally swap in, swap out, and there's no drop off in quality. There's no drop off in performance. And I mean, that's what this summer is all about. That's how important this summer is. It's to raise the floor in terms of the striker areas, to raise the floor in terms of the midfield. And I think the likes of Victor Gyokeres will do that for us. He will bring those standards high, and it'll keep the likes of Havertz on his toes. We need to have that competition in all places, and so I welcome the move. I'm happy for the move. I want to see a winger come in to give at least Saka a rest, if not competition himself, because I think he's become too complacent, even though he has such high standards. And listen, he's one of the top. Let's face back. Saka is one of the top three wingers in the world at the moment, and he's showing it on the European stage. So again, we're very lucky to have him. He's homegrown. He's 120 million pound player, and it's all profit. So we need to have a certain amount of competition for him, and bring things to the fore in that sense. And it's going to be a busy month, guys. It's going to be a busy, heady month, especially with the season. We're only 6 weeks away from the start of the new season. 6 weeks. That's it.
Yeah,
we're done.
Close on us.
It's very, very close. It's right on it. Not too far away. No. And I mean, the American tour is within, I'd say, 2-3 weeks. I think the American tour kicks in. So again, we need to get our acts together. We need to get our ducks in a row. We need to and start signing players immediately now that the new PSR year has begun, and we can start spending the money as we wish to have, and get rid of, unfortunately, some highly touted and favorite players such as ESR, such as Reece Nelson, such as Eddie Nketiah, such as Ramsdale. But it's time that we raise the floor now, guys. It's high time we do, or else, listen, we may just end up again 2 points behind City and ruin the chance that we have here anyway. So again, that's the point we are in right now, and the next month is going to be crucial to whether we all get what we want, which are trophies.
Absolutely, man. Listen, African Goon, I'm going to come to you in a sec, but I'm going to put a comment up in a minute. Before we do that, I've put a poll, which I'm going to end now. Everybody believes that Gyökeres is the striker that we need. I'm going to put another poll in there to talk about wingers in a minute, and we're going to come to that next. But I'm going to bring this comment up and ask you, AG, who you think might get into the Manchester City side, because Darren believes that no Arsenal player will make the Man City side if we would do a 1-11. That's fair. Is there anyone you think would be thrown into that Man City? Go on, mate.
Come on, Saliba, Saka, those are two. I mean, Odegaard he was better than KDB last season, but that's because obviously KDB is getting older and he didn't play the whole season. He had an injury. But I mean, for me, at least you can name 3-4 players that I mean, the conversation between Rice and Rodri, I think, is close, but Rodri obviously is a superb player. But I mean, we can name at least 3. I mean, even Ben White probably gets into their team, to be honest. So yeah, I think that's quite unfair. But I think, as we mentioned before, it's just their bench is just so much stronger. I know, Dan, you mentioned it's not like it's 2 or 3. I think it's bigger than that. I think the gap is still quite big. I think it will take us maybe 2 seasons to get to a place where our bench is as good as theirs. It's not going to happen just this summer, personally, for me. But yeah, no, I definitely don't agree with that. I think majority of our players, maybe 4 or 5, could get into their starting 11. Their keeper's good for sure, and you were mentioning how David Raya potentially could be someone that we improve on, but let's not forget that he had the Golden Glove in his first season. He didn't have to do much work for it, but hey, I personally, I think he's a great keeper, and we obviously just officially signed him yesterday. So yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question for me. Excuse me. I don't think there's 4 or 5. I think there's maybe 1 or 2, because I do think we have to look at how good Man City are. I think the names you mentioned are definitely debatable about how they can force their way in. I think Declan Rice is definitely one that gets in alongside Rodri and KDB and Foden. I don't know whereabouts people's thoughts are on Ben White and Kyle Walker, because I think Kyle Walker's been phenomenal, but I think right now Ben White's the better player. I think defensively he leaves him dead in the
Dan.
water.
Sorry, Dan, I
Go on,
disagree.
on.
Kyle Walker last game, that was
So
the
bad.
biggest load of horse shit I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
it's horrendous. Horrendous.
Yeah, he's
Bro,
old.
I wanted to, bro. I was about to launch something. I was like, bro, this guy, he doesn't look like the same guy anymore. He just doesn't look like him, bro. All he's
It
got
is
is the pace
dreadful, isn't it?
now. Honestly,
Him and Stones, man. I looked at him and Stones and I thought, is this John Stones and Kyle Walker? Like, wow, how bad were they? Like, it was
No,
awful.
Stones-
man. It really was.
Stones. The only reason why they're getting away with it is because we've got Pussycat is sitting at the top. That's why. That's the only reason why. You think these man would ever do that in front of Pep? Hell no, bro. He'd start throwing shit.
Yeah,
He'd
man.
scream at him.
Honestly, it's true.
Would
Innit?
never
It's
do it.
true. No, it's true.
And that's why I say Ben White, probably the better player currently. We know Kyle
Yeah.
Walker is reaching to the end of his career. Maybe he has one more season in him. He doesn't even start all of Man City's games as well, right? So for me, I think we can make a case for Ben White, for Saliba, even Gabriel. Maybe we can make a conversation. Rice and Saka for me. So
Yeah. Listen, I think
and
that's fair.
Odegaard too. That's also a debate you could have.
Yeah, I think
you
it's
can debate
now,
on
whereas
Odegaard.
it wasn't long ago that we couldn't get anyone in there. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
it shows
absolutely.
how far we've come, man. It shows how far we've come. AG, let me stick with you, man, because we've been linked with wingers, and I want to talk about some of the links that we've got. A few days ago, there was links with Eze. A few days before that, there was links with Pedro Neto, and then there's been links with Nico Williams for quite a few clubs: Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. Where you at, bro? Who would you like to see come? I'm going to put a poll in as well.
Nico Williams has to be the one. Upcoming, talented, on form right now, completely. Chelsea are out of the race. They wanted him last season. I think they're out of the race this season. His I think release clause is 54 million pounds, which is not bad at all. The only issue is his wages is around 300,000 pounds a week, which is a bit exaggerated. But I mean, hey, his agent is going to try and get him the best deal possible. I think obviously currently his form for Spain has just been phenomenal. We need someone that's quite direct, and we always talk about having a moments player, right? That we need someone that can just make magic out of nothing. Someone like Alexis Sanchez used to do for us all the time, pull the rabbit out of the hat, and he seems to be able to have that. Obviously, he's not the finished article, but I think he can play left wing or right wing. So there's probably a lot of game time for him. As we said, Saka can't keep going like this. We need to have someone that takes some minutes off of him. He has way too much game time and heavy load on his shoulders for me personally. And I think that's a huge risk for an injury, maybe this season or next season, because we've been doing it for already three seasons now. So yeah, personally, I think I like Nico Williams. Pedro Neto's the again, low risk option. He's cheaper and he's Premier League proven. If we're looking for someone that's just going to come in and make an impact, he's the guy, because he's gonna know his place in the squad, right? Like Reece Nelson. Reece Nelson knows his place in the squad. He's not gonna ask too much. He's not gonna push too much. But when push comes to shove, obviously Neto's way clear of of even players like Iwobi who we've had in the past that I think we've relied on as good squad players. So I think Neto could be a good option. We know that Mikel Arteta loves him a lot, and we've been linked with him for 2-3 seasons now. So I'm sure those rumors are gonna start circulating again. And who was the third name that you mentioned?
Eze,
45 million. Crystal Palace, obviously, they're really good. They're tough negotiators. They get good money for their players when it comes down to it. And England international, I think, again, we could probably play him in the left center mid. So we could play him next to Odegaard and have Declan Rice behind sweeping up. I think that'd be a good option. And obviously he plays left wing and he could be rotation to Martinelli or Trossard. Personally, for me, I think what Arteta will do is he'll move Martinelli probably to the right wing and have Martinelli as the backup to Saka. And then he'll have Trossard and Eze perhaps playing on the left wing. He's quite young, again, very direct. He's a really quick player. I love dribblers personally, because we don't really have any player in the team right now that takes on players apart from Martinelli. And as you said, Dan, I'm one of Martinelli's biggest fans, and last season really wasn't it. And hopefully he can get back to that form. But again, we need other options, right? If it's not going to work with him, we need to look at other options, have a plan B, a plan C. So yeah, for me, Eze, I think would be a really good one. And he's good friends. Again, obviously, you know how Declan Rice was really good friends with Saka and Ramsdale before he moved to Arsenal, and Ben White. I mean, we're growing this, English contingency at Arsenal, and obviously we know that we're going to have to fill the homegrown quota, right? And if we're going to sell Nelson and ESR and Ketia, that's 3 homegrown players that are out the door. We're going to have to replace them, and Eze obviously is a homegrown player, so he'll fit the bill. So I'm happy with all 3. My pecking order probably would be Nico Williams, then probably Eze, then probably Pedro Neto.
Yeah, Saad, it's interesting about the wide players, bro, because I like all 3 of these names that we've mentioned, right? Pedro Neto, I think, is a baller. He's been on my list for about 3 seasons. Unfortunately, the guy's made of glass and just is injured all the time. And I think that potentially puts me off. However, I was talking to Troops about this, and we were sort of saying that there's the potential for Pedro Neto to have a good season at Arsenal if he was playing 15 to 20 games, because you don't need someone fit. Wolves are playing him at every single opportunity on all of the 38 games. And when he did play last season, he created or scored. He was a phenomenal talent, right? Can play right and left, can probably play in the false 9 if he was there, or could definitely play in the attacking 8 or 10. I think he's an absolute baller. Eze, I think he gives you a lot more. I think he can talk about how many positions he can play in the attacking 8. He can play in the 10. He can play wide right, wide left. With Nico Williams, he's the one everyone's talking about. I'm not sure that I've seen him play much on the right, but apparently he can play there. He's more of a left from what I believe. And we have got Trossard and Martinelli. I do like him a lot. I thought Way took his goal the other night was sensational as well. I thought it was too cold. Where are you at, bro? Which one are you looking at? Because I put a poll in at the moment. Let's look at the poll. At the moment, we've got Nico Williams by some way that's winning. Just behind is Eze and then Pedro. So where you at, bro?
If it was up to me, to be honest, Dan, I'm going for my perfect window is Victor Gyokeres, Eze, and Nico Williams. If we're being completely honest, wow. I think we can get all 3 of them. The only thing is Nico Williams, for some reason, Athletic Bilbao, somebody had a clanger in the negotiating, because they decided to just give him a 200,000 euro a week contract. So he's on like 200k a week, obviously euros. So I think it's like 160, I think, or 150 something a week. Now for us to try and match that, even better that, it's gonna be a real investment. It's gonna be a real investment, man. But I don't think it's completely like unrealistic to say all 3 of them can come. And the only thing that's a problem for me is the wages. Do you know what I mean? And I think if you look at Victor Gyokeres, he's going to cost about 85 to 90 million pounds. Then you got Nico Williams, who I think is going to cost around 45, 46 million pounds. He's got a release clause. And Eze has been touted to be about, what was it, 40, 50, something like that.
He's about 50 release clause, isn't it? Yeah.
50. Yeah. He's got a release clause. So listen, I don't think that's completely out of the way to say that we can't do that, man. I think we can go and spend 200 million this season. If it closes up the holes that we need, I think Eze falls right into that left 8 position / wing position that we're desperate to fill. He could play 2 different positions. I've seen him on for Crystal Palace countless amounts of times, bro. And the thing is, with Eze, the one thing I'm looking at in regards to him is his free kicks. If you see his free kicks, they are pinpoint, man. He's so good at free kicks, man, which I think we need somebody like that. We need a free kick artist that can come in. Any free kick we've got, we know there's a good chance that we're going to score it. And listen, I think Eze is tremendous at free kicks, also corners, that kind of stuff. But Nico Williams, listen, I think he's deadly with his pace. He's got a shot on him, but he does waste some chances. That's the only risk I'd say in regards to Nico Williams. And like you said, Pedro Neto, made of absolute glass. I know I'll speak to Mo, I saw Mo speaking about it the other day and saying, oh, he's only had 2 injuries and only in two like places, and he's had a hamstring injury and he had this and that. With all due respect, I see his whole record of injuries is absolutely mad, and the amount of times he goes down. Listen, I think definitely him playing less games might improve a bit in regards to him getting less injuries, but still, if he goes down in a game, you know the likelihood is he's going to be out for a while. Do you know what I mean? And that's the player that we need to give Saka a rest.
So we need him to play a decent amount of games. If we're playing 50 to 60 games a season, which we are going to be now, especially if we end up winning something. Let's say, for instance, we win the Champions League next season, how good that would be. Let's say if we do that next season, we've got to go and we got extra games because we got to go and play the Super Cup. And you got to go play the Club World Cup. So that's extra games on top of extra games. So listen, I don't know if he's going to play 15 games. I think you're going to be looking at, if he just wants to help Saka with a rest, I think he might be playing like more nearer to 20 to 25 games and close to a season that he'd normally have, just because of the amount of games we got with Europe and Premier League, all the cup games. So listen, there's a lot of games that are going to be played. So I don't know whether he can handle it. But listen, they're definitely good players. They're very good players, and I'd love to have any one of them. But there's also cons that come with them. But it's all up to Arsenal. But my preference is just get those three that I said, man, and I think that's doable.
Me, that would be an unbelievable winner. I can't lie. I'll be very excited if that's going to happen. I'll be very surprised, but I think stranger things have happened. Elliot, let me come to you, man. I do want to mention Calafiori. I wanted you to have your say, obviously, on the winger situation as well. But Calafiori is being linked heavily with Chelsea and Arsenal this morning. 22 years old, defender that can be versatile. I think he's around 25, 30 million from Bologna. He's a player that people are talking about at the moment. And obviously, Thiago Motta was such a good manager for Bologna. He's now gone to Juventus and he's been highly rated. Talk to me about that deal and the potential of it, and if you're happy, and I'll let you have your say on the wide players as well, bro. What are you saying?
Yeah, I'm not optimistic as of yet about Calafiori. I will believe it when I see him holding up the shirt, simply because Italian players, 99, I would say 95 to 99% of them stay in Italy until they get the upper echelons of the Italian league. So, unless they play for the big three, Inter, AC, or Juventus, they don't want to leave. They literally don't want to leave. And, a lot of these players are homesick, and all the power to them for doing that. So I'm not invested in that just yet. I think there'll be a lot of haggling between Juventus and Bologna in terms of Calafiori, because I think he's put out feelers that he wants to stay in Italy. He wants to play for Juventus. But the thing about it, there is the whole Thiago Motta deal has screwed around with the whole deal, because again, Thiago Motta left by force from Bologna, and Juventus and Bologna are not on good terms. So they would love for Calafiori to go elsewhere, anywhere other than Juve. But again, I don't pay too much mind to that. I think we're better off focusing on the likes of what is it? Yes, indeed, of Ousmane Diomande. I think he would be a much better idea in terms of bringing in the defender, even though we don't really need it. Jules Koundé, he excites me a little bit, but again, he's playing lights out at the Euros. Let's give him credit. He was man of the match in the last match against what was it now? Who did they play? Shoot, I can't believe it. How did I go blank?
Who did who play?
France. Their last the round of 16.
Belgium.
There you go. Thank you, African. Thank you so much. And it was, I think but Jules is, I don't know, he's a good defender, but do we need him so much? No, and he's a right side defender as well, which is. I think we've got enough in that position at the moment. But in terms of getting back to Calafiori, I am not too optimistic about that until I see, until I hear an orange deal, until I hear until I hear an announcement that he will want to, he wants to come to Arsenal. He made it apparent that he wants to come to Arsenal, because again, Italian players don't leave Italy. So I'm not happy about that. In terms of the wingers, turning back to that. I'm in love with Eze. I am so in love with this kid. This kid is a game breaker. This kid is a dribbler extraordinaire. He is, and he left our academy, and he would jump at the chance to come to Arsenal if we put enough interest into it. And I heard that again.
He used to be in our academy. So
He used to be in our academy, absolutely.
Yeah, he left at 12 years old, man. 12 years old.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We gave up on him way too soon, quite simply. When he could have been, he could have been free profit again. But but I think he would jump at the chance for staying in London, playing for a big club, playing in the Champions League. I think he would jump at the chance, and I think we should give him the opportunity. And I heard that the Arsenal brass are in love with this kid, and I think we should, and you know what, we have a few players that Crystal Palace could use right now. They could use a Reece Nelson. They could use a Eddie Nketiah. They could use players who can further cement their place in the Premier League, and we can give them that. So if we can work a swap deal with them, I'm all for it. I'm definitely all for it. And I think something can be worked out, unless Crystal Palace are need the money, which I very much doubt. Anyways, I think they're a pretty solidified Premier League size. I don't know if they really need the money, but again, I think we can work a swap with them. But getting back to it, Nico Williams is a superstar, and I am, if we can work out a deal for him, that would be excellent. But I heard that Barcelona want to be involved, but they're broke, so I'm not exactly looking. If they can get him all the power to them.
Barcelona are always broke, and they always seem to
Yeah,
buy
they're always
players.
broke. Yeah, but they always, exactly, because it's all about the power of the shirt at the end of the day, the power of the kit. But again, I am, I would love a Nico Williams here. I think he can do wonders in an Arsenal uniform, and I think it's very, very doable. And if we drive him with a great offer, I think he can come in and really do a job for us and really solidify that left side. I think that Martinelli, who is due, I think he's due a great season. I think he can give us competition, give us a bit of cover for Sack on the right hand side, and also play the left as well. But again, that's his versatility. So again, if it came down to it, I can see two of the three, either Nico Williams, Eze, and Gyökeres come in. If we get 3 out of 3, even better. But I can see 2 of 3. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. That's what the old song says. So again, I would really like to see that. And if we can drive a great offer to Joshua Kimmich, I think that would be. I think we would have a 9 out of 10, if not a 10 out of 10 window. And
got to go soon, and we've got the football on. African Guna, you and I kind of disagreed last time we were on, or a while ago when we were on, about who we should sign in defence. I put a poll out in the chat about whether we should go and get a fullback or a left back or a centre back, because I'd argue that we'd need a right-sided centre back to cover for Saliba more than another left back, because I think we've got Kivior, Tomiyasu, Timber, and Zinchenko that can all play there.
Yep.
And really, as a right-sided centre back, I'm not too sure that I trust Ben White and Tomiyasu to play there long term. They can go cover for a couple of games, but I'm talking about if Saliba got a long-term, like bad one, like an ACL or something, would Ben White be able to play there long-term, Tomiyasu right back, or the other way around? Maybe. But I think a right-sided centre-back would be a really good option. But last time we were on, you were saying that maybe another fullback was needed. So have you changed your opinion on that, or are you still standing by it?
No, I'm still sticking by it. Well, the first comment I need to make is I don't want to see a defender come in, period, until we get a striker and a midfielder. Like, honestly, if we sign a defender first, I'm not going to be happy, irrespective of who it is. I think, as Elliot said, Kimmich is the one that's on everyone's lips right now. I think there was this video that went around about an agent talking about a German player that is already So the Kimmich rumors are hotting up, and I personally, I watched him for Germany. Again, he's just so good, such good quality. We're talking about the Jorginho type signings. That's what he is to me, and I think for 30 million, it's a no-brainer. He brings that experience. He can cover. He can play minutes. He's just all around. He's just an all-rounder, right? So he's like Philip Lahm, right? He's just one of those guys. Just lasts forever, and he's an absolute machine. But yeah, Dan, personally, I still think that Tomiyasu and Ben White could play. Obviously, it's because I don't think Saliba's gonna. I'm hoping Saliba doesn't get another long-term injury. And for me, as I said, if I'm the opposition playing Arsenal and I'm looking at their weak points, I'm targeting that left back position. That's our weakest point in our team. And obviously, as you said, with the Timber's injury, we don't really know kind of how that was going to be. I mean, when he played in preseason, he was absolutely phenomenal, and he's obviously, I think he's in Marbella right now doing an early preseason with 5 other guys. So it's 6 of them doing a mini preseason with Arteta before Edu Gaspar, Partey, Odegaard and stuff are going to come back. So he's really working hard to be really in top shape. And I think in preseason, if he does really well, might even change my mind again and say, hey, we don't really need even a left back. Just get the 2 midfielders and get the striker and then and a right winger or any winger signing for backup to Saka. So yeah, I just see it really low on my priority list, and I still stick to my guns. I think we need another left back. I mean, if we could have gone rid of Zinchenko to Bayern, I would have done that. It doesn't seem that that's on the cards anymore. But yeah, I'm quite confident that Timber is going to do quite well. And personally, it's a tough one, Dan, because if Saliba gets injured, as well as Ben White is and as good as Tomiyasu is, that partnership with Gabriel is not going to be the same, right?
Yeah.
It's just not going to be the same. So we will have to see and like try and feel how good that partnership can be between Ben White and Gabriel or Tomiyasu. But I think, as you said, if it's not a long-term injury, we can definitely get away with it. And I'd rather spend the money elsewhere in the squad.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. I really do.
Sorry,
And,
I just want to add one more thing. I think we're all excited about this transfer window and that we're going to sign a lot of players because last season we had so much money and we're just doing so well. And, you know, so far I'm feeling like it might not be the summer transfer window that I was expecting in terms of like crazy signings and etc. I think maybe it'll be 2 or 3 guys and that'll be it. It's kind of, that's the vibe that I'm getting right now. Hopefully it isn't because I love transfer. I love new signings and I still think we need a lot to improve on. But look, it's not just us. I think just the market in general, if you look around, nothing is really happening. Maybe, of course, that's with the Euros. But I just think in general, the market isn't as it used to be a few years ago. You know, it kind of has its cycles like any life cycle, right? And we're seeing that in the striker market as we're discussing. There's not really that many options. All the ones are 100 million plus. You know, are they attainable, et cetera, et cetera? And yeah, it's something people should just know. You know, we should keep our expectations in check. That doesn't mean we shouldn't want the best for our club, but we should also be realistic. Maybe 2-3 signings.
We already signed Ryan, remember?
Yeah, but I'm not gonna count. I'm not gonna count that. Let's not. Come on. And what are we gonna count that Norwegian keeper that came in for the under 18s? Because he's being labeled as the first signing already.
Yeah, it's poor when people start getting on about that, I must say. But I'm with you. I don't know what we're gonna get though. I think it's quiet at the moment. The Euros and the Copa America is keeping it quiet, but I think it's gonna go nuts. So I know you've got to shoot, man. Go on, bruv. What are you gonna say?
Nah. Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, listen, big up to everybody. I gotta go now, but listen,
Big up.
make sure to smash the like button, make sure to subscribe to the channel, make sure to go over to everybody's channel, make sure to subscribe and like the video as well, man. Listen, peace out, lads. Yeah, love,
man. Love for coming on, Sard. Make sure you stay
it.
tuned, people. You'll be heading over to Sard straight away, so make sure you stay tuned. We're gonna finish there anyway, guys. It's been a pleasure. It's been a nice hour talking to you guys about the Arsenal. It's good to be back. African Gooner, how can people follow you, bruv?
You can find me on Twitter at African Gooner. Just hit 51K, so keeping up the grind. There every single day, 24/7. If you want any Arsenal news, that'll be it.
Love that, man. Love that. Elliot, likewise, man.
Yeah, Elliot Rob 72 here for the love and the hate. But we'll be getting towards more stuff very, very soon. Yes, indeed.
Fair play. And do you know what, African Gooner? Majority of the chat agree with you, not me. 60% are saying we need a left back, 40% right side centre back. There we go. Yeah. But if I'm honest with you, a lot of people are set. People don't see it as a priority like you. So there we go, man. Maybe we'll all agree.
Yeah.
But that's the way it is. Listen, guys, we're going to get out of here. Big up to African Gooner. Make sure you go follow him. Big up to Elliot. Make sure you go follow him. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Take it easy, people. We're out of it. Peace.